Okay, are we ready? Let's get the baby oil and get this party started. This is episode 135 of Disney with the Ducks. And tonight you've got me, John Kroll, and I'm joined by three of my duck friends, Gene.
Howdy.
Jody.
Hi, friends.
And Lonnie.
Hello, everyone.
And aloha, friends. So tonight we want to ask you to do us a big favor and go out and give us a 5-star review wherever you get your podcasts from, and then maybe write like a nice review with some glowing praise of how good we are, just so that when others find our show, they can read your words and be inspired to listen to us. So that would really help us out. So please go out and do that, and then share the episode with one of your friends that likes Disney, and then come over to our Disney with the Ducks Facebook page and just have some fun interactions. We've got a lot of people talking about trips and posting pictures of their training runs, getting ready for things like Dopey coming up, and we've got Wine and Dine coming up. So a lot of fun events. So we want to make sure we get some pictures from everybody that's going down there. So please post any of your family photos and fun times into our Disney with the Ducks Facebook group so that we can, get some fun discussions going. All right. So tonight we're going to ask a question of everyone like we do each week to get to know each other a little better. Tonight's question is, if you couldn't stay at your home DVC resort, which one would you stay at? Jody, let's go with you first.
The only one that I have not stayed at thus far is, well, no, that's not true. It would either be something at Wilderness Lodge, so either Boulder Creek or Boulder Bridge or Copper Creek, because I love Wilderness Lodge, or Boardwalk, because I've never stayed at Boardwalk ever. So I'm curious about those DVC rooms. So I don't know, but I love Wilderness Lodge, so probably Copper Creek or Boulder Ridge, I think.
You've named a lot of resorts there. But what I forgot to ask first, what is your home resort?
Riviera.
Okay, so Riviera, and you think you would go either Boulder Ridge or Copper Creek if you couldn't stay at the Riv.
Right, because I consider that, I know they're different, but it's really part of Wilderness Lodge. So I don't think I'm cheating by saying both of them.
That's fair. All right, Gene, you're not.
So my home lodge, my home lodge is Pop Century. We call it Pop. But if I wasn't staying there, I would say. If I really had to think of, maybe the only thing that comes to mind, because, I'm just not that familiar with all the resorts, is maybe Wilderness Lodge. Really and truly, though, it's very intriguing to me. Not stayed at many DVC resorts. And by many, I mean just really very few. And so that's one I would like to experience sometime. So that's it.
Man, and especially if you go down at Christmas time, it is beautiful. I mean, all the resorts are, but Wilderness Lodge is like a whole other level from the other resorts. It shouldn't even be considered in the same category. It's crazy. All right, Lonnie, what about you? What's your home resort? And
so my home resort is Animal Kingdom Lodge. If I couldn't stay there, I was going to say Wilderness Lodge. That's where I've stayed the most, other than Animal Kingdom Lodge. But I'm going to go with the Boardwalk. I like the Boardwalk. I haven't stayed there since they did the refurb of some of the rooms. So I'm interested to do that, stay there for that purpose. But also, I just like how close it is to Epcot. And I think I've said before, I've stayed there and I was able to leave, walk into the back of Epcot, go get some fish and chips, walk back to the room, and my fish and chips were still hot. So that shows you how close it is, right? So, and to me, it's a Skyliner resort, even though it's not marketed as one, because the Skyliner comes down right there. So I think Boardwalk checks all of the boxes for me for where I would want to stay.
That's a really good choice. Yeah, you're right. That and like Beach Club, how you can just walk right over to Epcot, or Hollywood Studios isn't a bad walk either. Interesting. Okay. Well, for me, my home resort is Copper Creek, and I love it. We stayed in a 2-bedroom there last year, and it was beautiful. Like, it's my style inside there and everything. But if I couldn't stay there, I mean, I'm going to the Polynesian. And the only reason that's not my home resort, we were talking a little bit before the show, but is because with my growing family, we just couldn't fit in a studio there anymore. And we don't have George Clooney money where we can just go stay in a
George Clooney.
bungalow every trip down. So that would take up our annual points in a night or two. So no, I think the Polynesian, especially now that they have the tower opening up in December, I think that's where I want to stay every time I go down there. So yeah, so that's fine. But that leads us into what we're going to talk about tonight. So I mentioned that Polynesian has a new tower that is opening later this year in December, and it's a DVC building that's part of the existing Polynesian Villas deed, I guess, right? So it's part of the same association and everything. And this tower is beautiful. It looks out over the lake. And I don't know, everything about it, especially the literature from Disney, they make it look pretty enticing. So have you guys heard about this?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. We have.
Yes.
Don't, Gene? All right, Gene, can you tell us a little bit about it?
About the tower, or about just the Polynesian resort in general?
Either one. I mean, we'll take both.
I don't know much about the tower because it's new, and sometimes it takes stuff a little while to get to this part of Louisiana, just to be quite honest with you. But I shared with you guys before that it's the same age as me. It was opened with Walt Disney World on October the 1st of 1971. And so that's cool. It's right there next to the Contemporary Resort. It's located on the shores of the Seven Seas Lagoon, and it's on the monorail line to Magic Kingdom. I mean, I could tell you more, but at this point, you get the picture.
Yeah, no, I think we do. I think, yeah, we know it's a beautiful resort. They have so many good restaurants and bars and everything else with, Ohana's right there. Trader Sam's is right there.
Family. Doesn't that mean family?
Yeah, Trader Sam's means family at the end of the night. Yeah. But yeah, Ohana does.
Depending on how long you stay in Trader Sam's, everyone is family.
Right.
By the time you get out of there.
No, I think I've heard The Rock say Ohana's family, right? I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, and family means nobody gets left behind or forgotten. And luckily, with the Polynesian Tower, they have 2-bedroom units in there, so I don't have to leave behind half my family. But they also have those little 2-bedroom duo studios, they call them, just like Riviera does, so that when you want to leave the family behind, you can.
Yeah.
So I mean,
good luck getting those. If it's anything like the Value Studios at Animal Kingdom Lodge or the Tower Studios at Riviera, they're never available. So, but someone's got to book them.
Well, especially with it being everybody who owns at the Poly currently has home resort advantage booking there. That's going to make it even harder.
I will say that was the biggest. I was really surprised by that. I think when all the news came out about this tower, I was really surprised they decided to keep it as part of the same association as the original Polynesian. I just thought it would become its own association. So that was really surprising to me that it's all one and the same.
I initially, like you, Jody, I was surprised that I did some research as it got more into it and realized that for every association that they start, that there's a cost associated with that, right? And I think for them to not to have to invest that, it's not a small, it's easier to just get something added to the association than to create a whole new association with a whole new set of rules and bylaws. And then you're looking at other things that people want to stay here and there. And then it falls into the regulations that they have, with the newer resorts. So I think they made the right move. To John's point, though, it is going to increase the capacity of the overall resort. So I wonder what impact that's going to have when you look at things like the monorail, right? Catching the monorail from the original Poly is not going to extend out there. So going to the Poly to catch the monorail, and you guys know the monorail is something else after the park closes, right? To try to get on it. So now with so many more people being added, I wonder if they're going to do something else to kind of alleviate some of that stress. Hopefully they do.
Yeah, that's a good point. Because I mean, you see that even in cities too, right? They start expanding and building all these additional subdivisions, and you don't build the infrastructure with the roads and everything else to support it. And that's the problem I'm thinking about with this too, Lonnie. And other than that, though, I mean, I don't see any negatives with this. It's just amazing. But no, I mean, I think the walkway is going to get a lot busier, right? That walkway from Grand Floridian to Magic Kingdom, because right now that's a fairly long walk from the Poly because we've done it a few times, and it's a long way to go, especially at the end of the night when you've got crying kids and everything else. So if they have, more boats, I'm sure they'll do more of the ferries and that type of thing too, to try to help offset some of that increase that you're going to see.
Yeah. And if you don't mind taking a walk, the best thing about the Poly, and I do love the Poly, we stayed there in Maria. It's depending on how you pronounce it, but it's right there by the TTC, right? Literally, you come out of it, you take a left, you walk less than 50 yards, and it's boom, you're at the TTC. So it could be that people start walking from the tower, right? Take a nice little stroll out to the TTC and then catch it from there. That's an option. But yeah, I think when you look at the overall pictures that have been coming out of there, it looks beautiful. And I think it just shows you Disney's commitment and just, relaxing and just let them finish, let them cook, right? Mm-hmm. Because people are complaining, oh, it looks like a Marriott and this and that. But man, you see those pictures? No, it doesn't. I think they have it where it blends in pretty good, just a little modern take on it. So I think it's overall, I can't wait to stay there.
Yeah, and you're right. That building is just beautiful from the outside. They did a really good job of, not exactly copying the theming of the Poly, but like you said, fitting it in with a little bit of a modern update to it. I think that's really cool.
So, John, if you don't mind, I'm gonna give some dates because I think some key dates that people should remember and lock in as they start to think if they're gonna, number one, buy there or if they're gonna stay there. So October 1st, sales begin for existing DVC members, right? Who want to add on and take advantage of the early bookings. That's on October 15th. So if you add on to the Poly, you can take advantage and start booking October 15th. On October 29th, sales open to the public. So if you're brand new to DVC and you want to jump in and get some of this Poly love, you can do that at the end of the month, right? So October 29th, sales to the public. On November 5th, new members of the Disney Polynesian can start booking. And on November 19th, all members, right? So every other, since it's in the same association, every other member at the other resorts can jump over and try to book there. And that's opening on November 19th. So all members can book. And if you do want to buy, it's $225 a point right now. It's going to release at. So, you could have your thoughts on if you like getting resale or directly from them. We don't touch that. It's up to you. But $225 a point. I don't know. What do you think about that?
So, Lonnie, real quick, one thing that you just said about resale that I didn't think of earlier. So if you buy resale, you can stay at the Poly Tower, where with most other DVC resorts that are opening now, you can't because like Riviera has that restriction. So that's a really interesting thing too.
Which is why I'm surprised they put it in the same association.
Because that's a good point.
They really have been liking that restriction. They've added it to the Riviera. They added it out in California. I guess maybe they added it to the whatever those things are at the cabins.
Yeah. The cabins.
The trailers.
That's the trailers.
They're trailers.
Wow.
Sorry, they are.
They're cabins.
They're trailers. Anyway, I think it's going to be. That's why I thought it was so interesting because if you buy resale points, you'll be able to use them. And so I'm not sure that we talked about different room types. So that's always the reason why I didn't ever want to own at the Poly because they only offered studios and the bungalows, which, John, like you were saying, that wouldn't work for your family. And quite frankly, we stayed in the studio just for one night at the Poly, but it's not ideal for our family either, having two teenagers and just not something that I like the extra space of a one bedroom. So now with the new tower, they have those tiny little duo studios, which are only for two people and very much so. They're very tiny. They have 1-bedroom villas, 2-bedroom villas, and then a brand new 2-bedroom penthouse villa So that will have some options for everyone. So
Yeah.
so that's exciting. So it's not, I think that's really going to help families like John, like your family, for example, where you were saying that what you were kind of in a pickle there with the Polynesian. It was either get
Yeah.
2 studios or get a bungalow. And
Yeah.
I mean, bungalows are they're quite pricey. So
They're not cheap. And honestly, like Lonnie's question about the cost of this being 225 a point, I'm really surprised they didn't increase the poly cost, because that seems like a reasonable starting point to me.
I thought it was going to be way higher. I thought they were going to
Yeah.
start at 250 or 260 and then throw incentives in there. I was really surprised at the starting price point.
Yeah.
I was pretty, again, this will have the same deed and end date as the existing Polynesian contracts, right?
Yeah. So you're losing that 5 years or whatever
So
the other
maybe
one can
that's
open.
why I don't know. People
So Jody, I mean, obviously I know, but for those at home that wouldn't know, what are some of those incentives and perks and things like that that they might throw in?
I mean, we bought direct and they threw in every single incentive known to mankind. Oh, you are on a Disney cruise. Oh, um I mean, you have a Disney Visa card. Oh, they were coming up with, and I was like, keep digging, keep finding more. What other incentive do you have? So you don't know, honestly, until you start talking to a guide. And they change, aren't they month to month? Don't they change month to month? The incentive?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're based on how many
And-
points you're buying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. So you do 100 points, they may take off $5 a point sometimes, 150, $7, it kind of goes up. So based on how the incentives are, and they haven't rolled those out as much because we haven't talked to a guide, but I mean, it's possible that you can get it under 220 based on incentives. So we'll see. Wait and see.
Yeah. And again, you just never you could buy, just based on the research that I did, the month that we bought, we got a lot of incentives. And then the month after that, the incentives weren't that great at all. So, talk about timing the market. I mean, you just never know what they're going to come out with. So I have no idea what incentives they're going to release.
Yeah. But they usually do at the beginning for all of the other resorts. So you'd expect something to happen.
My only thing is like, maybe they won't because it's the Polynesian and they have so many other properties still for sale. I mean, the Riviera is still for sale. The trailers are still for sale. The Alani is still for sale. What else is still, anything else? I mean, that's a
Well, they still have points that they have. In fact, Disney bought back some points. I think you still can get Animal Kingdom Lodge 10-1. If you talk to a guide, you can get any, because if people are reselling, the best thing about DVC, you guys know, it has a healthy, robust resale market. But with right of first refusal, where Disney can buy it back first, if you put your contract online, and they do that to number one, keep the integrity of the product, keep the prices up. So I appreciate that. But they had an incentive on Animal Kingdom Lodge last month, right? I mean, that's a sold out resort. So obviously they bought some points back when people were selling it, and then Disney packaged those up and was starting to sell them at a good discount. So we know they bought back before COVID a lot of Old Key West, right? So they had those, you could still buy there. And when you buy from them directly, you get the new year, right? Not the old 2042, but I think they were reselling it at another year. So, it's there's benefits to both, and we can do a show on that because there's so many different benefits of buying direct versus resale. But then you got to know the inner workings, because, Jody's at the Riviera, great resort, beautiful resort. She can stay everywhere. But if she sold hers in a resale and somebody bought resale points, they can only stay at the Riviera, right? So I'm glad they didn't do that to the Poly. So, it's
something else I'm glad about the Poly. I'm glad they've added some dining options.
Yes.
So John, cover your ears because you're not going to like this, but probably Tim's least favorite resort is the Polynesian. And let me explain why.
That Tim, he has terrible taste in sports teams and restaurants, apparently.
Let me explain why.
Or resort.
Because the Polynesian is high energy, and always very crowded. It's a destination resort. People come from the monorail and they come there and they're spending time there, which is awesome, right? They've got great food. They've got great amenity. I mean, I go just for Captain Cook's, which is their quick service. I like it a lot. I mean,
The nachos.
and the problem is Captain Cook's is tiny and now everybody wants to be there, right? So, he just finds it to be too overwhelming. He doesn't find it relaxing or enjoyable. He finds it to be it's too much for him. There's just too much chaos and too much going on. It's not his vibe, right? So they did a couple of things that I believe was really smart with this new tower. They put in another pool, thank goodness, because that makes a whole heck of a lot of sense. Unlike what they did at Coronado, where they built that gigantic tower and they didn't build a pool. That was not smart. So they did put a pool in, and they're putting other dining in, which I think is incredibly important because you can't have all those people from the tower flooding over to the Polynesian to get all their meals. So I think that was really smart on them also.
What do you have any of the details of the restaurants that they're putting in, Jody?
I did. Lonnie, do you have that listed up? I had it. Let me see if I can
scroll. The first one is the Wailulu. I'm probably pronouncing it wrong.
Is that the pool bar?
That's the bar and grill. So that's I think one of the main ones they're putting up that they're touting as being, so good, right? So, based on the number of people, like you said, Jody, hopefully that will you would like to think it will take some people away from the Poly, but to your point, Captain Cook's, the Poly has great food, right? It just does. So hopefully this other restaurant will keep that same tradition and kind of take the crowds away as people start to migrate away from there. But I mean, gosh, it has to be good, right? And hopefully be a different flair.
Yeah, I hope so too. And then I really hope one of the other concerns that I have that I really hope that they're listening to is monorail availability. I'm hoping that they keep one or two cars open for just Poly guests, and then they really better leave one or two cars open for just Grand Floridian guests, because that's the last stop before you get to Magic Kingdom. And I can only imagine if you're staying at the flagship resort and there's no space on the monorail. I mean, I think people would probably begin to lose their minds. So I'm hoping that they're thinking this stuff through. I heard on another podcast that maybe they make monorails that are direct from the TTC direct to Magic Kingdom and pass by the resorts. So it's just that would make a lot of sense to me, because, you have to think all the people from the TTC are also doing the stops at the Poly and Grand Floridian. So wouldn't that be nice if there was just a TTC direct to Magic Kingdom loop? I mean, obviously that would take some time, but I really hope that they're thinking about how they're going to treat these deluxe resorts transportation wise to make sure that they're not in a predicament where they're getting frustrated because there's no space left in the inn, right? I mean, that's not a good situation.
Yeah. No, we had that same issue when we stayed at the Grand Floridian. We thought that it was insane that they shared a bus with the Poly when those are the two, like you said, the flagship resort and the next most expensive or whatever resort on property. So
madness.
It is. It's wild. But then you realize you're at Disney and it's fine because you're listening to Disney music on the bus. One thing I wanted to talk about was the points charts. So I was looking, our family goes typically like mid-February to early April, somewhere in there, because we have midwinter break for a week and then we have our spring break for a week. So in that time period, just looking at Sundays to Thursdays, I was comparing a 2-bedroom from Poly, Grand Floridian, and Riviera. And that's the order that they go in terms of number of points. So the Poly for a 2-bedroom standard room is 68 points a night for a 2-bedroom during that season. And that's not prime season. And that's not like the lowest season, it's kind of right there in the middle. And that's insane. That's 3 points more a night than Grand Floridian, which is 65. Wow. And the Riviera is down to 56 points a night. So when you look at that comparison, man, I mean, that's a lot. That is a lot.
And here's something that I thought was one of those 2 bedrooms, you're looking out at a golf course. You're not even
Mhm.
looking over at the castle.
For me, I don't mind that.
Yeah, well, I could care less about golf. So I would be like, I don't want to see that would be boring to me. I'm like, if I would be paying that much for points, I would want and maybe that's a different point category. I don't know. Instead of standard.
There is, yeah, there's standard and premium.
But
Or-
anyway, that surprises me. Now, John, are you able to look at that same time period and see what sorry, I'm putting you on the spot here. What the difference between having a 2-bedroom, you said was 68 points a night. What would
Yeah.
2 studios be?
Okay, so a deluxe studio in the tower only sleeps 4. Okay, so we gotta worry about that. That is 25 points a night
Okay, so you could get 2 studios
for less
for
than
less than a 2-bedroom.
yeah,
Or
which
you
is
could get 2 studios over at the regular Poly, which gives you 2 full
Yeah.
bathrooms, which is my favorite feature of the Poly studio.
And-
Those bathrooms are just amazing.
they are, and having the separate shower in
Mhm.
each studio, that wouldn't be bad. But they don't guarantee that you'll get them connecting.
Yeah.
So just if you're out there thinking about that, that's the one concern there. But I think Disney's going to do what they can to try to get you next to who you're going to be with, because that makes you happier, and happy people spend more money. And that's where, man, when we had my trip report about my trip this past a couple months ago, Old Key West just seems to get more and more, the bang for the buck there is just amazing.
And I have because I'm crazy like this, I have an Excel spreadsheet, of course, shocking that I do this, that I have listed out the square footage of all the DVC resorts in each category and who has the most square footage. And it's Old Key West is almost always at the top.
Oh, yeah.
So when you have a lot of humans like you do, John, having
Yeah.
more square footage is really important because, it seems silly, but an extra foot or two really, that's luggage or a pack and play or whatever it is that you need at that stage. So, that's, I hear you. I'll be at
Yeah.
Old Key West next month. I'm excited.
Good deal.
Have you stayed there before?
I have not. I'm a little worried because we don't have a car. Part
Oh.
of me feels like we should get a car, but I don't know.
That's
Anyway.
the only concern I have about that place is the bus. Just build in the extra time for it. But oh man, we love that resort so much.
Well, speaking of loving resorts, this resort, the brand new tower, is supposed to open in December of this year, of 2024, and it is 10 full towers. So if I don't know if we actually said how many towers it was, so it's 10 towers, which I think is pretty awesome. And I just think the artwork looks phenomenal. I can't wait to see some of the first people staying there. I know there's a lot of people are staying on cash the first couple of nights just to get in there and see what it's like. So that's exciting. I'm excited to see it.
Yeah, I'm really pumped. All right. Well, that now brings us to kind of our favorite part of the show, which is quacking up with the ducks. Lonnie, do you think you can make us quack up?
I don't know, John, but I will try my best. How about this? What do you call it when a group of apes start a company?
I don't know what.
Monkey business.
Monkey business. Yeah.
Oh,
Perfect.
Gene. Oh man. All right, Jody, what do you got for us?
John, this one is just for you. Why did the pineapple stop in the middle of the road?
I don't know why.
It ran out of juice.
Mhm.
Oh man.
As they do
I
sometimes.
had to come up with something for the Polynesian, and I know how you love your lapu lapu.
Yeah. No, I love it. That's wonderful.
I tried.
Gene?
Yeah, so I want you to listen real close, John, okay? What is the difference between a piano, a tuna, and a bottle of glue? A piano, a tuna, and a bottle of glue.
You can't tune a glue, but you can tune a piano?
Close. You can tune a piano, but you can't piano a tuna, right?
Ah. True.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. But
my.
wait, but I asked about 3 things. What was the third thing?
Wait. A tuna, a piano.
And a bottle of glue.
Oh yeah.
What is that? I mean, what's the difference there?
I don't know.
Everybody gets stuck on the bottle of glue.
That's really good. That is really good. How do football players stay cool during the game? They stand near the fans.
Oh,
Good one.
I gotta share another one that this is killing me. I don't know if it's gonna work, but Lonnie, just cut it out if it doesn't. But because you're the editor now. But you know what? You know what the key to a good joke is? Timing.
I might keep that one and take out the glue one because Gene told me the glue one Thursday, and I was like, he said, I'm gonna use this on a podcast. I'm like, okay.
It worked.
It did. It did. I got stuck on the glue.
Exactly. That's what happens.
Oh boy.
So this girl made a mistake of walking up to me on the street in New Jersey and gave me a dad joke. She's like getting donations, and I said, and so just I started, and I just started. I was like, she was sorry that she stopped me. No, she didn't. We had fun. We laughed a lot.
Did she give you any good ones?
No, hers was terrible. Hers was, what's the only kind of bagel? You like bagels? I said, yeah, sure. What's the only kind of bagel that can fly? And I said, I don't fly in bagel. I don't know. She said, what's the most basic bagel? I said, a plain bagel. Aha.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
You should have used that one.
Yeah.
And I told him when he came back, stop talking to strangers on the street that walk up and ask you for money.
Listen. I like jokes that make you think.
Yeah. And
like the one about timing.
Wow. Yeah. Okay. And you know what? Speaking of thinking, I would like our listeners to think of a great way to review us. And that great way could just be going to iTunes or wherever, or Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcast, and give us a 5-star rating. And then think about what you want to write to us and to tell us how amazing we are, and tell the rest of the world how amazing we are as well. So if you could do that,
if you get Poly points that you want us to use for you, you want us to go check out the new tower, we'd be happy to do that. So if you have any extra points laying around, feel free to send them our way.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, if you sent the Ducks on a trip like that with your spare points, I think we could probably even let you on a show one time or something. You know? That's the ultimate prize right there. Jeez.
Yeah.
Spending time with us.
Yeah.
And even if you don't give us points and you want to come on the show, we probably let you because we're lonely.
That's true. That's true. That's true. Especially Jeff. All right. So all right. Gene, I believe you have a bit of a disclaimer that we need to read to our listeners.
The previous podcast episode is brought to you by Disney with the Ducks, where John, Jody, Gene, and Lonnie make the Polynesian resort sound like a mix between a tropical paradise and the most exclusive, family-friendly P. Diddy pool party you've never been invited to. Side effects of listening to this episode may include a sudden and irrational need to drink a lapu lapu out of a pineapple, a strong desire to move to the new Polynesian Tower, and the immediate booking of a room with a view of the castle. If you catch yourself humming Polynesian resort music during meetings or telling strangers in line at Starbucks about the greatness of Ohana, please take a deep breath and contact your nearest Disney travel expert. Be warned, Gene will probably mispronounce lapu lapu and then claim he invented it. Lonnie, on the other hand, will pretend he knows all the hidden secrets of the Polynesian despite never making it past the pool bar. Jody might suggest walking the length of the resort at sunset, but we take no responsibility for the blisters you'll get if you forget proper footwear. As for John, if he orders another lapu lapu, just remember that there's no limit to the number of pineapples one man can responsibly consume on vacation. Listening to this episode may have caused you to second guess your dining choices after hearing Gene rave about pineapple bread pudding, or make you realize Lonnie's humor is like a lapu lapu without the rum, just not as good. Book your stay wisely, and remember, when John said he has perfect taste in drinks, he's likely referring to anything served in a hollowed out fruit.
It's true. Kwaherini, everyone.
Word.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, friends.
I just want to prove to Jody that I know some stuff.
Listen, I'm proud of you.